Today I want to talk a little bit about ice and water shield. Homeowners ask about this. They seem to be educated just enough to know that they need this product. It goes around the eaves, basically usually near the gutters. It also goes in the valley, and why it's a good product and why you need it. All right, Chicago, welcome back to another edition of our YouTube channel. I'm Jim from Anchor Point Roofing. We're an honest roofing company that specializes in flat roof repairs and steep roof repairs. Today I want to talk a little bit about ice and water shield. Homeowners ask about this. They seem to be educated just enough to know that they need this product. It goes around the eaves, basically usually near the gutters. It also goes in the valley, and why it's a good product and why you need it. First thing I guess I want to talk about is the code. So here at Anchor Point, if you've watched some of our other videos, you know that code is very important to us. We don't want to skip steps. If the code dictates it, we're doing it. And by the way, codes are just minimums. You know, there's a lot of times we'll go above code, above and beyond, but we want to go with the code and make sure things are done right. So what code says about ice and water shield? So if you're looking at your home and you see the gutter, the ice and water shield is installed at the eaves, which is typically where the gutters are installed. There's a few other instances, but if you have your roof coming up like this and the wall comes up here, this portion here is called the soffit. So basically the steep part of your roof from the eave or the gutter, you need ice and water shield installed there. And the code says that if this is your wall, this is your exterior wall here, it needs to be 2 feet inside of the heated wall. Let me show you this diagram to lay it out a little bit better. I've got one here on my computer so you can see this is the soffit over here. The little diagram here, 24 inches inside the heated wall is where they want to see that. One thing we get asked a lot is this going to prevent ice dams? And the answer is no. It won't prevent ice dams and icicles from forming on your gutters. What it will do is when those ice dams and icicles form, it's going to help protect your roof so the water can't infiltrate and get in. One more diagram I want to show you here that's going to explain ice dams and kind of how they start. So if you check this one out here, the ice, basically the ice and snow accumulates on your roof. The part inside the heated wall that I talked about earlier is where the roof is going to be warmer. Now you get a foot of snow like we've recently had in Chicago, and basically the snow has an R value. It insulates your roof. 1 inch of snow is like a 1 to 2 R value. So that snow, when you have a foot of snow on your roof, it's really insulating your roof and keeping it warm. But what happens is at the shingle surface, the interior air from your heating your house hits those shingles, and because of the insulating factor of the snow, it starts to melt it a little bit. It starts to melt where the snow and the shingle meet. What happens is it runs down a little bit and it starts accumulating at the eave or in your gutter. And that little melting runs down, freezes at night, runs down again, freezes, and that's where the icicles start forming. The ice and water shield, again, does not really prevent icicles from happening, but it protects your roof once it does start happening. So it's a really strong barrier. So I've got a piece of it here I want to show you. We use Malarkey products. That's pretty much every roof we've ever installed. And this is called Arctic Seal. This is Malarkey's version of the ice and water shield. It's a self-adhering product. So you take this back off, this becomes super sticky. And once it gets a little bit of sun on it, you can't get it back off. So it adheres really well. One other thing that I like about this with Malarkey, I mean, you can obviously see the lines. They want it to overlap at least a minimum of 4 inches. When you're running along the eave, we usually overlap it at least like 10 inches just to be safe. And then from the top, you want it 4 inches. But one other thing, and it's probably not going to show up on the film, is this has a little grit on it, like a little bit like a shingle, but I would say it's almost like a 100 grit or an 80 grit sandpaper. And this is installed at the eaves. So again, here at Anchor Point, we're really concerned about safety. This gives the guys a grip when they're walking on it. So they adhere it down, it sticks really well, no need to put nails or staples in it. Like I said, it peels off the back, and then when they're walking on the roof, it gives them some grip, keeps them safe up on the roof. So not only does it do that, it protects your home from those huge icicles and ice dams that you see. Again, code dictates that it needs to be 2 feet inside of the heated wall. Let me show you this picture here that's going to explain it a little better. It's a nice overview drone shot so you can see what I'm talking about. This particular home needed 2 rows of ice and water shield. It had a large soffit on it. The sheets come in 36-inch pieces. So the 36 inches on this particular house didn't get us inside of the heated wall 2 feet. So you need 2 layers or 2 rows. The guys like to call them 2 lines. How many lines? So in this one, we needed 2 lines of ice and water shield. Here's one thing I see all the time in Chicago. So just driving around, I'm constantly looking at the roof. My wife's like, stop, you're gonna run off the road. But just out of habit, I'm driving. I'm like, oh, they're putting a roof on there. Check that roof out. That roof needs to be replaced. Sorry, but if you've watched this, you know I'm a roof nerd. And I see this all the time where there's only 1 row of ice and water shield, but driving down the street, I can tell that the soffit is this wide, but they've only got 1. So it only goes like a foot inside the heated wall, you know, maybe 1 foot. Is it probably gonna work and protect your home? Probably. Does it meet the building codes with IBC and the city of Chicago? No, it doesn't. And this ice and water shield product is expensive. It costs a lot of money. So you can imagine you're doing a 4,000 square foot house and you need to have double the amount of ice and water shield. It costs more money. We get homeowners like, why is yours more expensive? Why is your prices a little more costly? Well, it's the reasons like that. Homeowners don't always know. So if you can remember, it needs to go 2 feet inside of the heated wall, and ask your other roofing contractor about that. Hey, what's the code here in Chicago for that? Pin them down on it, because we're going to spend extra money doing it by code. And gosh, I can't tell you, I see it more often not done properly than done properly. And I don't go to the homeowner and knock on the door, but I just see it as I'm driving by, like, not to code. Again, will it probably protect it? Yeah, probably. Has your house the roof been installed to code? I don't see it a lot. So just one of the small things I wanted to point out. I've got a couple more pictures here I wanted to show you with ice and water and where we've installed it. So here's a little bit what I'm talking about. You can see this soffit. In fact, this is the same house, is almost 20 inches. Well, I talked about the ice and water shield only being 36 inches. So if you do the math there, you're only 16 inches inside of the heated wall. And if you take into consideration the angle of the roof, you're probably only 8 to 12 inches inside of the heated wall. So a lot of times you need to double up on ice and water shield, and you want to make sure that your contractor is showing that, is doing that. You need to just go out there and physically check it yourself. One other thing that we see is this gets installed, the ice and water shield gets installed in the valley. So what is a valley? This is a valley. It's where 2 roofs meet and come and form like an inside corner. So we take the same Malarkey product and we install it in the valleys here. This is a double protection, an extra layer of protection for your roof, and it's going to protect that valley from leaking. Valleys can be very vulnerable to ice, to some damming, but also just ice and water getting in there. So your ice and water shield is going to get installed around the eaves. It's going to get installed in the valleys, and then we take extra time. We put ice and water shield around the pipe boots or any pipes or penetrations that are coming up through your roof. If we're installing skylights on your house, it comes with its own version of basically ice and water that will wrap around before the skylight is flashed. So ice and water is great for eaves, but it's also used for other purposes on the roof. Great product, self-adhering, and it's really strong product. All right, so that concludes our video on ice and water shield and why it's important on your home. Whether you're a homeowner looking to diagnose a roof leak or a contractor looking for the best materials, Anchor Point YouTube channel is where it's at. Please like and subscribe, or just give us a call. We love questions. Thank you for watching, Chicago. We'll see you on the next one.